Hi, this is Garvin from Dublin Tour Guide, and today we're going to talk about surviving the Irish winter, right? What is it going to look like? What do the Irish people do to survive those dark, dark days? And, how do you get through it emotionally, psychologically? So I'm just going to show you where Ireland is in the world, latitude-wise, anyway. So you can see here that we are farther north than most Canadian cities. Canada's national pastime, besides being nice, would be ice hockey, right? The winter is a requirement, therefore, in Canada. Yet Ireland is situated farther north than where most Canadians live, right? So how is that? How does Canada get a proper winter, but Ireland gets quite a mild, temperate winter? And it's got to do with the Atlantic Ocean. More specifically, it's got to do with this thing called the AMOC, which I haven't remembered what it's called. Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation. And it's about the way that the water down near the tropics heats up, heads north, cools down, then drops to the ocean floor, and then heads back further south. So those changes that are happening within the North Atlantic within the North Atlantic are affecting the winds and the weather above it. So that means that Ireland is kept safe from frozen winters by this system. And there's a fear now that it's weakening, and if it does break, or even reverse, Ireland will end up with more Canadian winters. So you just count your blessings that the pipes don't freeze here in Ireland over winter. We see a bit of snow. We'd be lucky if you see it more than 5 times. Of course, that depends on how much you like snow and whether you're driving or not. But let's just kind of go back, and we'll set the stage. We're in October, let's say. In October, thankfully in Ireland, we invented Halloween, so you should lean into Halloween and lean into the Irish elements of it rather than the American version of it. So that kind of keeps you going for until the end of October. At that point, we unfortunately have the daylight savings change. So we lose an hour. So it gets dark an hour earlier. Personally, I wish we could abolish this, but that all depends on what the rest of Europe is doing with it. And so, that means that right away you can see noticeably that it's darker. Then going into November, you really, as much as the shops would like you believe that Christmas is just around the corner, Christmas is nearly 2 months away when November hits. So personally, I feel November is maybe the darkest or the most difficult month. So if you're prepared for this, if you're prepared for the darkness, if you're aware of the fact that even during the day when the sun should be up, might be blocked by all those clouds, making it feel even darker. So, first step is kind of to prepare for it psychologically. What is it going to be like? And that, of course, will be easier if summer has been kind. So, if we had a good summer, then you'll be able to take that winter on the chin a bit easier. But summer goes through and it's not great, and then September comes and you're keeping your fingers crossed for an Indian summer, and it still doesn't come. Well, then prepare yourself that winter is going to be harder. So winter comes. What are you going to do? Right. So you can flick through the self-help books that are saying, get out early, go for a walk. If you can't go for a walk, get a dog that'll force you to go for a walk. If you fail to do that in the morning, then at least do it after you have lunch. Preferably after. It's better for your body, supposedly. But anytime, just getting out when it's bright and getting that daylight into your eyes is going to help with long-term mood. Right? You also need to keep yourself alive. So vitamin D is important. I take it all year round in Ireland, even in summer, but particularly important to take it during winter when we're getting even less direct sunlight to our skin. And one thing that I invested in a while ago is called a well, call it a light therapy box. You could call it a SAD lamp, so a SAD, a seasonal affective disorder lamp, and it's pretty bright. So let's say if you're waking up in the morning and you have to wake up early, or you're finding it even whatever time you wake up at that you know don't have the oomph, right? You can get one of these boys, right? They're not that expensive, and it's pretty good just getting that. I mean, you might, if you're working with the computer, you might have it here beside the computer, and getting that bright light into your eyes will help you wake up. It'll also help you feel energized, and that'll positively affect your mood as well, right? So besides those kind of precautionary basic things of getting your vitamin D, getting outside, obviously, exercise, eat well, and all that jazz. What else can you do? So I would say embrace the fact that we want to stay inside. We want to get cozy. We want to get hygge, that Danish and Norwegian term for that sort of cozy homily sensation. So, invite a friend over, right? This is what I've done with a friend of mine recently, where we make an occasion for it. Like, hey, Gene Hackman just died. Let's go celebrate him by watching one of his movies, My Place or Your Place. Or Val Kilmer just died. Let's do the same thing for him. So that gives it a nice little theme and an explicit reason rather than just, hey, let's come and hang out. So when we're actually kind of doing something together rather than just hanging out randomly. But hey, hanging out randomly, if you can do that with a friend or a few friends, brilliant. So we try to do that. Probably should do it once a fortnight would be good. Easy to maintain that. Once a month might be too rare, and once a week is too often in terms of people's lives and how busy they are. Another thing, kind of extra, if you're interested, I found this book quite interesting and useful. It's by a guy called Dallas Hartwig, and it's called Four Seasons Solution. And it tells you about how humans have dealt with these changes of seasons in the past and how to embrace them, lean into them, get the benefit from them. Likewise, you might look up Ayurveda, so the ancient Indian medical profession and tradition talks about the changing of the seasons and the food that you should eat for each one of those seasons in order to stay balanced. Um, and well, I guess real quickly, have some warm spices, ginger, nutmeg, cinnamon, clove if you're feeling cold. Irish whiskey, a hot whiskey, right, with a slice of lemon and some cloves and a bit of honey. It's lovely. And of course, get ready for summer, right? Get yourself excited and motivated, knowing that winter will end and summer will come, and start planning at this time your summer vacation, right? Get excited for the good weather. And then when summer does come, recognize how good the summer is, celebrate it, and realize that it's going to be winter again soon. Best of luck.